Hi guys, in today's video we are going to talk about the part 4 of the chapter Plant Kingdom, that is the third chapter of 11th Biology NCERT, and today we'll be discussing about the gymnosperms. Gymnosperms are the higher plants which got evolved from the pteridophytes, and this group is given the name gymnosperms because of its characteristic feature, that is these plants have the seeds without fruits. They have seeds without fruits. So we can call these seeds as naked seeds because fruits are not there, only the seeds will be there. Uncovered seeds are there. Hence the word we have, which is composed of two words. The first one is gymno, and the word gymno means naked. Because the seeds are naked, we use the word gymno, which means naked, and the another part of this word is sperms, which comes from the word sperma, and the word sperma means seeds. So together we can say that all the plants which have naked seeds are actually placed in this group gymnosperms. Now this term was given by the scientist named Theophrastus. Who gave this term? Theophrastus gave this term, and now I have one beautiful picture for you. This is a picture of the female cone of Pinus, and you can see this complete cone in this figure. And this is one expanded form where you can see these scales. This every structure is one scale, and these scales are known as ovuliferous scales. What is the term given? Ovuliferous scales. The reason these scales will bear the ovules on them, hence the name is given. Very beautiful picture. In real also they look very beautiful brown colored structures. Now next we have naked vascular seeded plants. So the first point about the gymnosperms is that they are naked seeded, means uncovered seeded plants with vascular bundles. Connecting tissues will be there. Xylem and phloem will be there. Vascular plants. Right? Now, if I say that they are naked, it means that no fruit formation, as I told you already. And from this, we can conclude one more point, that there will be no flower formation. Remember, we'll see in angiosperms that the flower formation leads to, or the flower is only converting into the fruits. The matured ovary, fertilized ovary will convert into the fruit. So no fruit means no flower formation is there, no flowers are present over here, and this forms one important point for the NEET point of view. Now next we have got is the group Phanerogames. These gymnosperms are placed in the group Phanerogames, means the exposed reproductive organs are there. Phanerogames without ovary. No flower is there means no flower structures will be there. So ovary is not there, without ovary. In our junior classes we have studied a female part will have the flower will have stigma, style and ovary. Ovary in which the female egg is present in the case of angiosperms, but in case of gymnosperms ovary is absent. Now next point we have is, here the embryo is formed. In case of gymnosperms, embryo formation is there, and the seed is also formed. Embryo and seeds are formed, but no fruit formation. Clear? Because the flowers are not there, so fruit will not be formed. Now these gymnosperms are actually having less adaptations. They do not have much adaptations in the adverse conditions, hence they have limited distribution. They will not be found in various places just like the angiosperms. We cannot call them as cosmopolitan. These gymnosperms are limited to certain type of distribution. So limited distribution is there, especially in the cold regions. If you go to mountain places, you will find the gymnosperms more as compared to in the plain areas. So next point, limited distribution. Limited distribution because much adaptations are not there. Limited distribution, and especially where they are found, mainly in cold region they are found, mainly in cold region. Now, next point we have got is regarding their nature of the plants. So these plants are actually the xerophytes. These plants are of xerophytic nature. So they are xerophytes, means which live in the less water conditions, and they are perennials. Perennials means I told you that those plants which live more than one season, or which continue their life for more than one growing season. Now, if we talk about the specific features of these gymnosperms, then they have various specific features and that are limited to the gymnosperms itself. So let's see some specific features. Specific features. Now, general feature will include the specific feature. For example, I'll tell you, the gymnosperms will also not have vessels in their xylem and companion cells in the phloem, just like what we saw in the Pteridophyta. But this time, the exceptions are there with true vessels present in them. So let's write the first point, that is vascular plants. These gymnosperms are vascular plants for sure, but the xylems will lack vessels. So xylem lack vessels. These vessels are xylem elements of the xylem, or xylem elements we can say. Xylem like vessels and phloem like companion cells. Companion cells. Clear? But there are some exceptions, and these exceptions are very, very important for the exam. So let's see these exceptions which make the specific feature for the gymnosperms. So exceptionally, three exceptions are there, or we can say three plants are there which have these vessels present in the xylem. Exceptionally true vessels. This time true vessels are there. In Pteridophyta, false vessels were there, but now what are present? True vessels are present. So true vessels in Gnetum. First example is Gnetum. Example of exception I'm saying. First one is Gnetum. Second we have is Ephedra. Ephedra. And the third one is Welwitschia. Welwitschia. Clear? Now, next point we have regarding the vascular bundles of these plants. So, the gymnosperms have conjoint collateral and dark open vascular bundles. So, let's put this point together. Conjoint. Conjoint means the xylem and phloem will be found on the same radius. Here you learn these terms in anatomy. We'll discuss about these in detailed form. So conjoint collateral means phloem on the outer side and xylem on the inner side will be present, and endark condition is there, plus open vascular bundles. Open vascular bundles means they will have cambium with them. So cambium is present means what? They will have secondary growth in them. Cambium present means secondary growth is there. These plants will be woody plants. These gymnosperms are naked seeded woody plants because they have cambium in their vascular bundles. So these plants are going to show the secondary growth in them. So mostly the plants are tree form, or we can say the form is tree on these plants, but there are some shrubs also. Some of the plants are in the form of shrubs. Example, ephedra. Ephedra is a shrub, it's not a tree. And one more is there, that is Welwitschia. Welwitschia is a specific plant. It's like it has just two leaves which grow very long in size over the complete. In its all lifetime, it has just two leaves, very long leaves it has. So another one we have is specific shrub, that is Welwitschia. These have just two leaves which just grow their complete lifetime. Next we have is woody climbers. Next is woody climbers, means which will be like growing on some other woody plants. So woody climbers. And the example is important, that is Metum ulla. Metum ulla. This is one complete name with this binomial nomenclature done. And these woody climbers are also known as lianas. They are very famous for these decorations and all, usually found in the forest also, lianas. Clear? Now, after this, we have types of wood of gymnosperm. So, the gymnosperms have soft wood present in them. Since these plants are wooded plants, so they can have either softwood or hardwood present in them. So gymnosperms have softwood, soft wooded plants, and the woods are, means this type, two types of wood are there. First one is monoxylic. Monoxylic. Monoxylic means soft wooded plants with broad medullary rays, and they are commercially less important. Example is important actually, rather than the explanation what is important, example is important. So monoxylic includes the cycas plants. Cycas plants. Next point we have is pycnoxylic. Number 2, pycnoxylic. These plants will have some compact wood present in them, and they are commercially more important. They have more economic use, and the example is pinus. Clear? So cycas have soft wood and they have this less economic importance, whereas the pycnoxylic means the plants will have the more economic value of their wood, and the example is pinus. Apart from this, we have two more terms with us. The first one is monoxylic. Monoxylic means there will be only single persistent cambium, means one cambium will be there and it will remain for the complete life in the vascular bundles. And the example of monoxylic plants is pinus. And the another term is polyxylic. Polyxylic means they will have many cambiums present in the form of rings and in the vascular bundles. Example is cycas. So here what is important? These examples are important. Next we have some general features of the gymnosperm. So let's put the heading general features. Means now we'll be talking about the body structure, then about the reproduction and all. So general features. And the first point is that they have the dominant body in the form of sporophyte. The sporophyte is the dominant body which is differentiated into roots, stems and leaves. As I told you, the Pteridophyta are the first group which have the roots formation. These gymnosperms also have the sporophyte as main plant body. main plant body, and it is differentiated into all the three parts, that is roots, stems and leaves. Roots, stems and leaves. Okay, now first we'll talk about the roots, means we'll discuss about the characteristics of roots, then we'll talk about the stem, and then we'll come to the leaves also. So let's put the heading first, roots. These roots are tap roots, means the roots will be formed by the radicle itself. The roots will come out of the radicle and they'll be long lived. So first point, tap roots are present in the gymnosperm. Important point it is, questions are asked a number of times from this point. Now, roots of pinus have some mycorrhizal associations. So in various gymnosperm roots, they have these microorganisms associations. Some will have association with the fungus, or some will have association with the blue-green algae. So these are also important for exams, also for ecological purpose also. So let's see the first example, that is pinus roots. Pinus roots, what do they have? They have mycorrhizal association, that where the fungus will have symbiotic relationship with the roots of the pinus. Mycorrhizal association. Next point, the roots of the cycas. Cycas has one specific type of roots, that is coralloid roots. These coralloid roots are the home for the various nitrogen fixers like blue-green algae. So let's write the next point, cycas has coralloid roots. Coralloid roots are specific for nitrogen fixation, guys. This is one important point. Coralloid roots, these are specialized roots just for nitrogen fixation. And for this nitrogen fixation, in these roots, there is symbiotic association with the blue-green algae. The cyanobacteria will have the symbiotic association here with the coralloid roots to fix the atmospheric nitrogen, so that the cycas plants can absorb the nitrogenous compounds from the soil easily, and so they will get the nutrients also. So these examples are important, and if you want to study about the mycorrhizal associations and these symbiotic relationships by the blue-green algae, I'll share the link in the description box. Please go watch that videos. Now, the next point is regarding the stem. So let's put the heading first. Stem. Now, these gymnosperms can have branched stems also, or unbranched stems also, means both the possibilities are there. So we'll have the examples for both the possibilities. So let's write first point, and that is unbranched stems. Unbranched means no branches will be there in the stem, and one important and common example is there, that is cycas. So if you see the cycas plant, it will have very small the stem which is without any branches, and then it will have leaves out of it. It looks very nice. Next we have is branched stem plants or branched stem gymnosperms, which will have branches in them. So branched stem. And the example we have with us is, two examples are there for you to learn. First one is pinus. First one is pinus and another one is cedrus. Cedrus dioda, you must have heard this name definitely. Next we have is the third part, that is the leaves we are going to talk about now. So let's put the heading, leaves. Leaves are, both the types of leaves are present, that is simple and compound leaves are there. The plants can be microphyllous also or megaphyllous also, means it is possible that stem is small and leaves are large, or Megaphyllous means the leaves, the microphyllous means the stem is large and the leaves are small. So let's write the points. Both simple and compound leaves, both simple and compound leaves are there. And we can see also the microphyllous and megaphyllous types. Microphyllous, where the leaves are small and stems are long or large, or we can say megaphyllous leaves, where the leaves are large in size and the stems are small. We saw these terms in the Pteridophyta also. Now, the leaves can tolerate the extreme temperatures, humidity, wind, etc. So they have certain adaptations actually, which are important. These adaptations are found in the leaves of the gymnosperms, and let's see certain adaptations which help the leaves to survive under extreme conditions like the extreme temperatures, humidity, wind, as I told you. So adaptations means when the plants get changed its future features to get adapted to its environment. And the first type we have got is needle-like leaves to have reduced surface area. The leaves will be very thin pointed type needle-shaped leaves to reduce surface area. For example, pine trees, you can see needle like leaves. Reason to reduce surface area, and why do they reduce the surface area? To decrease the loss of water by transpiration. So this is one adaptation to reduce surface area, to reduce transpiration or loss of water. These are important points. Questions are asked on these points, guys. Second is thick cuticle is there. Thick cuticle layer is there on the leaves. Again, to reduce water losses. As I told you, these plants are xerophytes. So these plants live in the less water conditions. Hence, they require the adaptations where they will reduce the loss of water through them. So first adaptation where they are having needle-shaped leaves where the less transpiration will be there. And second adaptation is where the leaves will have will have thick cuticle in them. And the third one is sunken stomata. Another important feature asked a number of times in the exam, sunken stomata. Sunken stomata means those stomata structures which are deeply located in the leaf surface. वो stomata जो leaves के बहुत अंदर होंगे उन्हें हम sunken stomata बोलेंगे. So these are some important features of the leaves we have got, and we also saw the types of the stems and we saw about the roots also. Now we have the another important part, that is the life cycle of the gymnosperms. So let's put the heading first, see the important features about the life cycle, then we'll see the actual life cycle. The first thing we'll do is putting the heading, life cycle. So they have the main plant body as sporophyte, as I told you already. So first point goes as sporophyte. Sporophyte is diploid. Sporophytes are always diploid, two-end structures, and this is main plant body. Main plant body. Now, these are the dioecious plants. Gymnosperms are mostly the dioecious plants, but we have one exception that is asked a number of times in the exams, and that is one important one. So let's put the point first, the general point. Mostly dioecious means males and females will be separate. But exception is there, and I'm going to write this exception with different color to represent the importance of the exception. Pinus, it is monoecious. Clear? So this is one important point. Next, if we talk about the spores formation, then the sporophytes will form these spores, and these spores are heterosporous, means the male spores and female spores will be different ones. So next point is heterosporous plants. Gymnosperms are heterosporous. And these spores are formed in the sporangia. So I'll show you the complete sequence of the spores formation. So heterosporous means males and female spores are formed separately, and these spores are formed on specific structures, that is in the sporangia. And these sporangia are found on the specific leaves, that is sporophylls. Sporophylls will be a sporangia in which the spores will be formed by meiosis of spore mother cells. We remember the life cycle of Pteridophyta. Now, these sporophylls are actually the leaves of, we can say, the floral parts of the angiosperms. They can be compared with the floral parts of the angiosperms. Next, if we talk about the sporangia, then two types of sporangia will be there because two types of spores are formed. So first one we have got is megasporangia. Megasporangia, in which the megaspores or female spores will be formed, and another one is microsporangia. Microsporangia, in which microspores will be formed or male spores will be formed. Now comes one comparative point, one important point from which a number of questions are asked till the date. That is, the megasporangia are compared with the ovule. They are compared with the ovule, or better than making arrows, I'll just write it in the bracket. Ovules are compared with megasporangia in gymnosperms and ovules in angiosperms. Similarly, microsporangia are compared with the pollen sac of angiosperms. So when we'll see the life cycle of angiosperms, we'll again get this comparison. So I want you to learn this comparison here itself, so that there you will be revising this comparison. So pollen sac is there, which is compared with the microsporangia of gymnosperms. Now, megasporangia will be formed on megasporophylls, and microsporangia will be formed on microsporophylls. Similarly, ovules will be formed on the female leaves, that is carpels. So carpels are actually compared with the megasporophylls. So there is nothing to learn actually. If you understand these points, that how the link is going on, you can easily remember the comparisons also. And pollen sac are formed in the stamens, that is the male reproductive structures, in the angiosperms, and these stamens are compared with microsporophylls of gymnosperms. Microsporophylls. Students get confused with this comparison a number of times, but this is very easy to remember actually. Now, the next point we have is the aggregation. The collection of these sporophylls is given a word, that is cone. And as I showed you the cone of the pinus, it was looking very beautiful, where a number of sporophylls were there bearing these ovules, right? I told you those scales, ovuliferous scales were there in the beginning of this video. So the gymnosperms will have sporophylls, aggregation of sporophylls, and this aggregation is known as cone. Clear? And this cone, like the female cone, will bear the ovuliferous scales where the ovules will be produced. Now, the next point is regarding the germination of the spore. So here in the case of gymnosperms, endosporic germination is there. That is, the spore will germinate into the gametophyte within the parent body itself. So endosporic germination is seen in the gymnosperms, and it will be seen in the angiosperms also. Now, next point here, in the case of lower gymnosperms, the male gametes are motile. So this is one important point. Lower gymnosperms, I'm just writing in the abbreviated form, short form. Lower gymnosperms will have motile male gametes. And if the male gametes are motile, what type of fertilization will be there? We discussed in Pteridophyta in the life cycle also. If motile male gametes are there, it means the type of fertilization will be zooidogamy. So here zooidogamy is there, or to be more exact, male gametes are motile, but they are actually contained by the pollen grains. So here the type of fertilization is zooidosiphonogamy. Siphonogamy. The reason is male gametes are motile, but they are carried by pollen tube. Carried by pollen tube. So we can say it's an intermediate between the features of the pteridophytes and the advanced gymnosperms or higher gymnosperms. Now coming to the higher gymnosperms, they have non-motile male gametes. Higher gymnosperms. And what type of male gametes do they have? They have non-motile male gametes. And if the male gametes are non-motile gametes, I'll write male in the bracket, and these non-motile gametes will be carried by pollen tube. Carried where? Carried to the female reproductive part or to the ovule by pollen tube. Pollen tube. And such type of fertilization is given a word, that is siphonogamy. Another important term is there, guys, siphonogamy. Clear? So here we saw two terms more, zooidosiphonogamy and siphonogamy. In what type of gymnosperm siphonogamy is found? In the case of higher gymnosperms. Now, these motile male gametes are actually multiciliated. These motile male gametes are having so many cilia on their body, multiciliated. Questions are asked on this point also, guys. Now next, if we talk about the female gamete, then it forms after the germination of megaspore. So when the megaspore germinates, the female gametophyte is formed. Coming to the next point, another important point of the gymnosperms, that is pollination. So pollination means distribution of the male gametes to the female gametes, and it takes place by anemophily, or the type of pollination is anemophily. And here what is responsible for pollination? The abiotic factor, that is air, is responsible for pollination. Air is responsible for pollination. Such pollination is known as anemophily. Certain adaptations are there for anemophily, like light pollen grains are formed in huge number. Many light pollens formed or produced because they need to be carried by air, so they need to be light, very less in the weight. Coming to the next point, fertilization, another important point for the gymnosperms. Single fertilization is there. In case of angiosperms, we'll see they have double fertilization. In their life cycle, in the 12th portion, we'll see the life cycle of angiosperms, and we'll see that they have double fertilization. Single fertilization means one egg and one male gamete will fuse and will form one zygote. So it is single fertilization. And hence we can say that the endosperm is formed before fertilization. This is another important point which forms a number of types of questions in different forms and as a number of times in the exam. So the point is endosperm formed before fertilization. Before fertilization. So now ploidy of this endosperm is actually very important. This endosperm is a haploid structure. Endosperm is a haploid structure. This is, I'll give it 3 stars as this one is very important point, guys. Now, here we are done with this type of fertilization, but now one important point, since the pollen tubes are carrying the male gametes, no water is needed for fertilization. No water needed for fertilization because the male gametes are carried by pollen tube. Clear? So these are few important points regarding the life cycle of the gymnosperms. Here now we go with the life cycle of the gymnosperms, actually in the form of a complete life cycle. So let's get ready, guys. We'll start with a main plant body, that is sporophyte. This sporophyte is a diploid structure, so I'll write 2n. Now I'll have the two separate plants or two separate gymnosperms, hence I'll write two sporophytes. One over here, sporophyte. This is also a diploid structure. Now this first one is male sporophyte and this one is female sporophyte or female gymnosperm. From this male sporophyte, male cone will be produced, or in this male sporophyte, what is produced? Male cones will be formed. Male cone. Whereas in the female sporophyte, female cone will be there. Female cone will be there. Now, next point, on these cones, what are being formed? On these cones, what is going to be formed? On these cones, the sporophylls will be formed. On male cone, microsporophylls will be there. Microsporophylls. It is very easy. The life cycles are very easy. The condition, you just understand them properly, that which stage is followed by which stage. Whereas in case of females, we have mega. Word micro for males and mega for females because of their size. Mega sporophylls. Clear? Now on this microsporophyll, what is going to be produced? On this microsporophyll, microsporangium will be produced. Microsporangium. Right? Whereas here in the megasporophylls, megasporangium will be produced, no doubt. Megasporangium. Now, we have got the sporangium formed. In this sporangium, there will be spore mother cells, microspore mother cells in male sporophyte and female, or we can say megaspore mother cell in the female sporophyte. So in this microsporangium now occurs the meiosis division, reductional division, meiosis in spore mother cell. SMC means spore mother cell, and it leads to the formation of a new structure, that is microspores are formed. Microspores. Similarly, from this megasporangium, what will happen? The meiosis division will occur. Meiosis in megaspore mother cell, and what structure will be formed? Megaspores will be formed. Megaspores. Right, guys? These megaspores and microspores are the haploid structures. Now the ploidy level has become half. These spores will germinate into the gametophytes. So the microspore will germinate into, here what is going to happen? Germination into what? Germination into male gametophyte, and the megaspore will germinate into female gametophyte. Female gametophyte. What is happening over here? Germination. Right? Now, next point. This male gametophyte is compared to the pollen grains of the angiosperms. I'll write it with the red color. These male gametophytes are the pollen grains. Pollen grains. This is one important point. Pollen grains in case of angiosperms. Clear? Now, this male gametophyte will form a new structure, or now will form the male gametes. Male gametes will be formed by male gametophyte, and female gamete will form the female gametes. Female gametophyte will form the female gametes. So now we have got the gametes, and these gametes are also the haploid structures. So starting from microspores up to male gametes, or megaspores up to female gametes, what is there? The haploid structures are there. But these female gametes are formed in the specific structure that is known as archegonia. So I'll write this archegonia in the bracket. Archegonia. Remember, Antheridium is not found in the gymnosperms. Antheridium is not found in the gymnosperms, but Archegonia is found in the gymnosperms. The last members or last group of plant kingdom to have Archegonia is gymnosperms, and the last group of plant kingdom to have Antheridium is pteridophyte. One important point is there. This is one important point from which a number of times the questions are asked. Now, apart from this archegonia producing the female gamete, one more structure is produced in the male gametophyte, that is endosperm. So endosperm is formed without fertilization. It is a haploid structure, as I told you in the earlier part. Now the fusion or syngamy will occur. The male gamete will fuse with female gamete, which is formed in the female reproductive structure known as archegonia, and this process is done either by zooidosiphonogyny or by siphonogamy. So this is fertilization. This fertilization can be zooidosiphonogyny or it can be siphonogamy, and this fertilization will lead to the formation of a structure that is zygote, which is a diploid structure. Now this zygote will have normal equational divisions and will form the embryo, and this embryo will develop into the new sporophyte. This sporophyte is also a diploid structure, but it is new generation. The seed germination will be there here itself. So what is happening here? I'll write with a different color. Seed germination to form the sporophyte. Seed germination, we can say that seed will have both the ovule plus embryo. Now here the three generations are present together. I'll show you how, where. So I'll select a color which I haven't taken till now, and I think this one will be suiting the perfect. So the first generation ends up over here. I'll just draw a line dotted line I'm drawing, and this is a diploid stage. The first generation or the parent generation. Then we have this one, that is haploid generation or the second generation. I'll write the number of generation also. This is 1, this is 2. Now after this fertilization here, again we get the next generation, that is, it is a diploid generation. Diploid generation, and this is the third one. So you can see that 3 generations are present together on a single screen, and hence this is what type of life cycle? This is one diplontic life cycle. The gymnosperms have diplontic life cycle. One important point, I'll write it separately so that when you look at the screen, you will remember that point. That point is Archegonia last found in gymnosperms, but Enteridia last found in Pteridophyta. These forms important points, guys, do learn them. Now next we have is another term, that is polyembryony. So let's put the heading first, polyembryony. The word itself is explaining what does it mean. Polyembryony means a single seed will have more than one embryo. Single seed with many embryos. Different possibilities are there for this polyembryony condition. That is, 2 types of polyembryony are there. The first one is potential embryony. Potential embryony. This is the first type of polyembryony, where embryos are formed by fertilization of many archegonia. Embryos means different archegonias will get fertilized to form different embryos. Embryos formed by fertilization of multiple or many archegonia. These archegonia will have the female gametes present in them. Next point, the example is there, that is cycas. Example, in case of cycas, such type of polyembryony is found, and it is not a true polyembryony because one zygote is forming only one embryo, so it is not true polyembryony. Not true polyembryony. What is the reason? The reason is because one zygote is forming only one embryo. Clear? The second type we have got, the second type of polyembryony is cleavage polyembryony. Cleavage polyembryony means here the embryos will be formed by cleavage in one zygote. One zygote will have so many divisions. So cleavage in one zygote. So here fertilization of one archegonia is there. This fertilization leads to formation of one zygote, and this one zygote leads to formation of many embryos. Hence we can say that it is true polyembryony. True polyembryony. So these are important points. Next we have the example. The example of the true polyembryony is Pinus. In Pinus, such type of polyembryony is found, and each embryo will now develop into the sporophytic plant. Next we have the classification of the gymnosperms. So let's put the heading first. Classification of gymnosperms we are doing. So I'll write gymnosperms. Gymnosperms are basically divided into two groups. So first one is Cycadophyta, and the second one we have got is Coniferophyta. Coniferophyta. Cycadophyta are the fern-like plants, means it will include the members which look like fern. It means they are going to have the primitive characteristics just like the Pteridophyta, fern-like. Clear? Now, these Cycadophyta are further classified into three groups. That is, first one we have got is Cycadophylicales. The first one we have is Cycadophylicales. Second one we have got is Bennytails. And the third one we have is Cycadales. Cycadales. These are the three groups of the Cycadophyta. Cycadophylicales are the most primitive type. They are the first seeded plants, and these are all fossil plants. Example is there, one example, that is Lignopteris is there. Lignopteris, whose fossils are found, and hence from those fossils nomenclature are done. So these are fossil plants. Next point, these are the first seeded plants or most primitive type. Clear? Coming to the next group, that is Bennytails. So these Bennytails include Williamsonia. One important point, one important example is there, Williamsonia. It includes Williamsonia, and these are fossil plants discovered by Professor Birbal Sahani. Fossil plants. And who discovered them? Professor Birbal Sahani. Clear? Next we have is Cycadales, and the group Cycadales includes all the living gymnosperms of the Cycadophyta. So it has living members. Clear? Now coming to the next group, that is Coniferophyta. It has now 4 orders present in it. 4 orders. The first one it has is Ginkgoales. Second one is Chordatails. Next is Coniferales, number 3. And the last one is Gnetails, the most advanced members. Gnetails. So these are the complete classification, and now let's see them individually. Means the first one, that is the Cycadophyta, have many characters which are similar to the pteridophytes. Means they will resemble to the fern pteridophytes. They are megaphilous, means they have large leaves. They will have ramenta present in them. They will have motile male gametes, and they will have heterocentric or vascular bundles. And next, if we talk about the first order of the Cycadophyta, that is Cycadophylicales, they are completely extinct, as I told you, and they include all the seed ferns. So one important term is given to the Cycadophylicales, that is they are the seed ferns, the fern-like plants with seeds. Now one important topic is there, that is the requirements for seed formation. So as I told you, in the Pteridophyta, the establishment of seed habit was seen in Pteridophyta, but the first seeded plants are gymnosperms. So 3 main requirements are there for seed formation. Number 1, heterospore. two types of spores formation is there. Number two, endosporic germination. The spores should be germinating within the sporophyte, and the third one is development of zygote to embryo inside megasporangium. The zygote should develop into embryo in the megasporangium in the female body, parent body, and these are the three conditions which actually leads to the seed habit formation. The seeded plants are first seen in gymnosperms, but the establishment of seed habit was seen in the pteridophytes. Now coming to the bunnytails, as I told you, these are also completely extinct, and the fossils of Williamsonia were discovered by Professor Birbal Sahani, and the sperms were important point for the exams. Next is cycadales. These cycadales are living members, as I told you, and different examples are there. These living members are actually known as living fossils. What they are known as living fossils, because other members of these groups are dead or they are now fossils. So first example we have got is Zamia pygmea. Zamia pygmea. These examples are very important. This is the smallest gymnosperm. It forms the important question, smallest. It is asked in the exams, guys. It is smallest gymnosperm. Next example we have is cycas. Cycas is also known as fern palm or sago palm. Common names are important, and now the ovule, male gamete, egg, cone are the largest of cycas in the plant kingdom. So I'll write the star mark points with different color, and I'll use black color. I'll star mark the two examples also, and now I'll write the characteristic feature of cycas. So cycas has the largest ovule and male gamete. Then it has largest egg and cone in plant kingdom. Just like the ostriches have the largest egg, the cycas has the largest egg in the plant kingdom. Ostriches in case of animals or in animal kingdom. Now this is all about the Cycadophyta. Now we are going to discuss about the Coniferophyta separately. So the first member of Coniferophyta is Ginkgoales. And these are the oldest order of Coniferophyta. Mostly they are extinct. One member is there, that is important one, and it is Ginkgo biloba. It is a living fossil because all other members of this group are dead. So it is one living fossil, right? And next we have is this fertilization is done by Zoodeosiphonogamy. In Ginkgo biloba, what is seen? Zoodeosiphonogamy is seen. Zoodeosiphonogamy means the the male gametes will be motile and they will be carried by a pollen tube. One common name is there to this Ginkgo biloba, that is maiden hair tree. So it is also known as maiden hair tree. Clear? Next we have is the second group, that is chordatails, which include all the extinct members. Then we have number 3. So I'll just write the number 2, chordatails. All extinct. So no discussion about them. No questions are asked from this group. Number 3 we have is coniferales. And it is the largest group of gymnosperm. largest group of gymnosperms, and it has many members which we need to see. First one is Pinus, and the common name of Pinus is terpine. Then Chilgoza pine is also given name, Chilgoza pine. Then we have the second example, that is Cedrus, and another name is Deodar, as I told you previously in this video itself. The third example we have got is Taxus, Texas, Texol, and next we have is Juniperus. Number 4, Juniperus. Cedar wood oil is obtained. Oil. Next is Sequoia. Number 5. Sequoia species are actually known as redwood tree. Redwood tree. And this is the world's largest tree. The name of the species is Sequoia dendron giganteum. It is the world's largest tree. This point is important. Do learn the name. What is the name? Sequoia dendron giganteum. So the word itself says that this is the largest one. Easy to remember. But you need to remember the word sequoia, which is the world's largest tree. Now coming to the next member, that is Gnetales, number 4. Gnetales, and these are the most advanced ones from which the angiosperms will be evolved. Most advanced ones. Now, exceptionally, the members of Gnetales will have xylem, will have vessels in the xylem. I told you those examples of the exception, they all belong to Gnetales. So, exceptionally have vessels in the xylem. Exceptionally, recall all the examples fast so that I can write here. Exceptionally, vessels in xylem. What are the examples of them having vessels in the xylem? Gnatum, ephedra, and Welwitschia, right? Now they have bitegmic ovule, means ovule with 2 integuments, bitegmic. Bitegmic ovule means 2 integuments will be there surrounding the ovule. Usually they have the 1 ovule. Now, they do not have archegonia, another important point of this group. Archegonia absent. It means the coniferales were the last to have the archegonia in the gymnosperms. Gnetales do not have archegonia formation. But exceptionally, again one exception is there. So many exceptions, right? Exception is ephedra. Ephedra has archegonia. Ephedra has archegonia. Now, this ephedra gives one important drug, that is ephedrine drug. Ephedrine drug, question is asked from this point. Ephedrine drug, which is used for respiratory diseases like asthma, bronchitis, etc. So asthma, bronchitis, etc. For their treatment, we use this ephedrine drug, which is obtained from ephedra plant. Next we have is economic importance. So various economic importance are there of the gymnosperms, and number 1 is ornamental. Means for decoration we use these plants, that is cycas. You can easily see in your schools, colleges where these cycas are grown just for decoration. Next is wood. Wood is used like pinus tree, as I told you, they have economic importance. Next is resins are produced. Essential oils for these beauty things, or we can say the cosmetics, etc. essential oils. Then in paper industry, they have importance. Then next is these are edible also, like the ginkgo is edible, means which can be eaten, edible. And the last one is medicinal. I just told you the example of medicinal plants, right? Ephedra producing ephedrine, medicinal plants. So this is all about the gymnosperms. Next I have some diagrams which are important for you. So let's see those diagrams now. So this is the first diagram I have got for you, and just imagine whose diagram it is. So this is the diagram or the picture of cycas. You can see these large sized leaves, right? Now the next we have got is this one, that is of Pinus. And now the next we have is this, that is Ginkgo biloba. You can see the labeling. This is short dwarf shoot, then they have the long shoot and the seeds also present in them. Now this is all about the diagrams. You need to know the names there. Now last but not the least, we have practice questions as usual, and today I have got you 5 questions. Let's start with the first one. I'll be writing question here on the screen along with the options as usual, and you need to write the answers in your notebook along with the question number, taking the screenshot of the questions, guys. So question number 1 is naked seeds. Very simple questions are there. Naked seeds of gymnosperms meant for, means what does they mean? Meant for absence of which of the following? Number 1 means A, seed coat, and B is integument, then C is embryo, and D is none. Question number 2, think carefully, it is very easy question, guys. Question number 2, most of the gymnosperms have option A you have is only Antheridia. I discussed this point in today's video, right? Option B is, I specially marked also, I wrote that point also, both Antheridia and Archegonia. Number C, Archegonia but no Antheridia. Archegonia but no Antheridia. And then we have option D, that is both absent. So here we are done with these 2 questions. I'll tell the answers here itself because I need to discuss the questions also with the options. So coming to the first question, naked seeds means uncovered seeds without fruit formation, and fruit develops from the ovary. So naked seeds are because the absence of ovary, not because of absence of seed coat, embryo or integuments. So answer is none, because here the option should be ovary for it to be answer. Question number 2, most of the gymnosperms have. Remember I told you Antheridia are last found in pteridophytes, whereas Archegonia are last seen in the gymnosperms. So option C is the answer. Hope you mark the correct answer. Let's see the third question, question number 3. That is young meristematic cells of leaves. Young meristematic means dividing cells cells of leaves have let's say 24 chromosomes. So the number of chromosomes in endosperm will be, so the number of chromosomes, easy question, right? Chromosomes in endosperm of this gymnosperm is, in endosperm of gymnosperm, I'm specifying the question also, is option A 11, B 12, C 20, D 24. I know you'll be confused between 12 and 24. Okay, so let's do 50-50. I'll cut option A and C. Choose between B and D. Question number 4. Conifers differ from grasses in the conifers, the most advanced ones. No, that were not the most advanced ones, but they were having advanced features. Conifers differ from grasses in the number 1, A, absence of pollen tube. Is it answer? Absence of pollen tube. Option B is formation of endosperm before fertilization. Formation of endosperm before fertilization. Right? Then we have option C, that is production of seeds from ovules. It is very easy question. Such questions are asked in the exams, guys. You can easily solve the answers. Production of seeds from ovules. Right? And then we have option D, that is lack of xylem tracheides. Lack of xylem tracheides. So choose your answers fast, guys. These are very easy questions, hardly 30 seconds needed when you just started these questions now, these points now in the theory. 24 cells in the leaf, it means it is 2n leaves are diploid. So 2n, it is 24. Endosperm will be haploid. It means what? 2n is equals to 24, so n will be equals to 12. Easy. Next, coming to question number 4, conifers differ from grasses. Absence of pollen tube? No, they have this siphonogamy where the pollen tube will carry the male gametes. So this cannot be the answer. Formation of endosperm before fertilization? Yes. Endosperm is formed directly before fertilization, hence it is a haploid structure. Whereas in case of grasses are angiosperms where the endosperm is formed after fertilization, that is double fertilization, and there it is different structure, it is triploid structure. Else other options if we see, seeds are formed from ovules. In both the cases, yes, xylem tracheides are present in both the members. So here we are done with 4 questions, and now we have the last question for today, question number 5. And it is phenomenon of sulfur showers. Now comes the main question. Phenomenon of sulfur showers in pine forest. In pine forest. Pine forest means we are talking about the pinus, is due to where lots of pinus are there. Due to option A, we have presence of insects. Presence of insects. Option B is there, that is presence of sulfur. B. presence of sulfur. Option C is there, that is release of pollen grains. Release of pollen grains in huge amount, in high amount, huge amount. And option D is large number of fruits. Large number of fruits. This is one interesting topic and one important question also. So the sulfur showers in the pine forest or pinus forest are actually because of the release of pollen grains. When the pollen grains of the pine, means the male gametophytes, are released from the pinus trees, then they are very huge in number and it looks like complete yellowish shower is there, which looks like sulfur showers. So this goes the answer, option number 3. Here we are done with this topic of gymnosperms. Guys, please like this video, subscribe my channel and share with your friends also. If you haven't shared it yet, please let them know about these videos.